Once we have access to the ng-route module, we can come in and configure multiple routes. So what we're going to do in this demonstration is talk about the route provider, how we can use it, configure a route, and then we'll kind of take it from there. So I already have a module defined, and I've captured the module in this app variable. So we can come in and say app.config, and then I can give it a function that takes the route provider. So we'll go ahead and add that in. Now all we have to do is take the route provider and use it to configure some various routes. So for example, we could come in, and I normally like to bump this down a little bit. We'll say when, and then we can give it maybe the route path, and then we're going to give it an object literal and then end it. So that would be the end of one single route. Now we can come in and say controller, and then we'll give it the name of the controller that we've already created. And so if we scroll on down here, we'll see it's customer's controller. So I'll go ahead and just grab that, paste that in. And then template URL. Now, we don't have much we can put there, so I'm just going to put ... for now. So what we need now is a place for our views to live. We have a controllers folder, and that's nice, and we have a way to configure the routes here, but we don't really have an area for the views to live. So I'm going to come in and add a new folder. I'm just going to call it views. Now, obviously, we need a view, and normally what I like to do is take the name of the controller and make that the view. So we're going to go ahead and say go from app into views, and we're going to make one called customers.html. That's kind of a convention I like to follow. It's always name of the view controller, or if you go backwards, it's take off the word controller and just tack on HTML. So let's go ahead and add a new file, and I'll call this customers.html. Okay, now we obviously need a view, and we don't really have much at this point. So let's go back to our home page, our shell page, and really all this stuff here, this would need to be in our view. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this entire block. We're going to cut that out, and then I'm actually going to strip out the controller because we're now using a route to marry up that view with the controller. So we don't need that. In fact, you don't want to duplicate it. It'll actually cause the controller to be invoked more than once. So we'll come back into our view, and we'll paste in this code that we have. And this will now represent the view. Now you'll notice that a view doesn't have a body tag or a head tag or things like that. That's going to go in your shell page. It's kind of your master template, if you will. This is only going to be the part of the page that we actually want to load. Okay, so now if we go back into our app.js, we've now said that when you go to the root, we're going to come in and load customer's controller, and we're going to load customers.html. Now that will act kind of like the ng controller that I just removed. It's going to merge those two together and make them kind of live in harmony, and we can share the scope and all that good stuff. Now, what if they go to a different route? So we can come in and add an otherwise in that scenario. And then in the otherwise, we'll do a redirect. So there's a property we can add called redirect to, and then we can give it the slash here. And then we'll end that. So what that'll do is if they go to some other route that we don't have defined, it'll automatically redirect back to the slash. And at this point, we now have a route and a redirect, but we don't have a place to put a view in the shell page. So let's see how we can fix that.